Welcome to the Tine Talk Podcast, sponsored by Rack Fuel, premium deer nutrition. Fuel your herd.
All right, welcome in. Episode 2 of the Tine Talk Podcast. Joined here today with Cole, Jake, and Dustin. Fellas, how's it going?
It's going. Nothing, no blood shed for me thus far. You guys are pretty much in the same boat, I believe, correct?
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
Cole's got a little bit of bloodshed on a coyote, but that's about it.
It works.
Yep.
True.
Mitch, you were in a doe contest this weekend. You want to elaborate on that? How'd
Yeah.
that go? I know you didn't win, but
We only got 1 out of 3. 3 people went out. My buddy Marcus Gable, shout out Marcus, was the only one to draw blood for us. Thought we had some pretty slam dunk doe spots, but I guess they knew we were hunting does last weekend, so they got away.
it just shows.
Yep.
Where's that? Is that in Pepin too? It's a bar puts it on, or is it just a group of guys? I saw the invitation, but
Yeah, it was at the Pepin Sportsman's Club. I don't know how many years they've been doing it, though, but it's a really cool event. They got their own, like, little weigh station. You just literally back your truck in, and you weigh them, and you're on your way.
really,
Yeah. I don't know what the winning score was for, like, weight-wise, but the average doe was, like, right around, like, 114, 116, field dressed.
quite a bit smaller than obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know. Smaller than bucks is not a secret, but
Mhm.
that much smaller is kind of a surprise, actually.
Yeah, that seems really small.
I did.
They
Nat
seem a
was-
lot heavier when you're dragging them all outside.
A friend of mine was in the same contest as you. He did ask one of the owners, the guys who put it on, what's the biggest one they had in? It was one, and he said it was 169 pounds, the biggest doe.
Damn.
That's as long as they've been doing it, and he said they've been doing it 10-ish years. I don't know exactly, but
That's
probably
wild.
That's the biggest one they've had ever.
169 field dressed.
Yeah.
Maybe
Guess
they were.
I'm no expert on.
That was before they started checking for lead, though. Sinkers and weights.
Put them in their chest cavity.
Wow.
Matt brought that up, actually. He was talking about a fishing contest where a guy put a bunch of...
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Stuff
That video went viral a couple
that's
years
all
ago.
over the
That's
internet. I think it was
insane.
last fall.
Get him out of here.
Good for them, but yeah, those guys put in a ton of money and time. I mean, probably nothing compared to certain people in the hunting industry, but at the same time, I think they got their boat taken away, $100,000 boat,
I could
Yikes.
see
Lost
that. And
their-
probably pass
which they
entries
probably
and,
won
yeah.
it with one of those tournaments. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
no, that's fun. Next year, I'm going to try to get in that with you.
No more party buses that weekend.
No more party buses. Sunday morning reminded me. Of
Can't
that.
miss Oktoberfest either.
No.
You boys, you guys been seeing anything lately? What's the movement been like?
This last weekend was a little slower. Saw a few bucks, nothing crazy. Last weekend was a lot better. It was a little bit of a colder snap last weekend.
Yep.
And I ended up seeing a buck that we had on camera, an 8-pointer that's got just massive potential as frame. So really hoping he makes it another year. And he put on a show for me that night.
Mm-hmm.
Just shredded a scrape right below
Yeah.
me, and I probably
Oh,
got a
that's-
few minutes of footage, and yeah, it was.
That
I've never
footage
seen
is
a buck
sweet.
that animated on a scrape before.
Yeah, I saw that. That was was that 10 yards from you?
Yeah,
You got
less
that
than
good
10
of
yards.
That could have footage from your phone.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah,
cool.
it was pretty sweet.
My last weekend was just, I've had a few, like basket rack 8s, a couple different ones, and then a bunch of forks eating acorns underneath me for like 2 hours. And that's pretty much all I've seen. Seems like 2 weekends in a row.
Does it where you guys hunt? Does the acorns this year seem like an absurd amount of acorns?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one, I forget, where was I at? Walking in, it felt like it was marbles underneath your feet.
Yeah.
You're almost like trying to catch
The
yourself.
stand that I hunted mainly last weekend, it was literally like, marbles and like you're walking on bubble wrap. I mean,
Yeah.
It was just, it's like, holy cow. And then, you get those does and the fawns in there, and they're just 10 yards from you, just browsing. And
You can hear it
It's
so
so
loud
funny.
too, and they're crunching on them.
I had like 5 different deer within 10 yards the other night, and just listening to them just munch on them.
well, and the
Oh
worst
my
part, they
God.
just don't go away either.
Yeah.
They're just sitting there.
Those
And,
things are like candy for
yeah.
them.
Oh, that was the other thing I was going to tell you guys about last weekend. I got in the morning because we got Ray in there. It was one of my first hunts after Ray. Took the camera. Cole was out too. We went separate. I had the camera with and the camera arm. So I'm going to hang on. Went up. Left my bow on the ground. I was still in plenty dark. Getting my camera arm set up. And I heard a twig snap from the same way that I come in. And I see a rack right away, and I'm freaking out just because I know that there's a big deer in there. And then he got to like 5 yards, and it was just a 2-year-old 8-pointer. And my bow was still on the ground. I was like, oh, man, if that would have been Ray, I probably would have jumped out of the tree after.
You'd have cried.
Yeah, that was.
Those of you who don't know, Ray is a big buck name. It's not Ray Johnston from the White Pigs.
Ray Finkel.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Ray Finkel, big buck.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a giant. Nothing like I've seen around our areas. I think I've counted 18 points on him.
Biggest buck we've ever got to say that we've had a chance at for sure.
Yeah.
Dang. That's wild.
Probably 185, 90. Don't know.
Thinking all 180.
I'd say it's for sure in the 80s.
I just seen the trail cam pictures. I'm going to guess mid-80s, low 80s probably, but we'll see. Hopefully we can find out for sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah, special deer for sure.
Yeah, we haven't had a picture of, we had a decent amount of pictures of him last year. He kind of bounced around, not a whole lot. And then this year, the only group we had was the 30th. That was it. And then
September 30th.
Yeah.
It's just odd. Such an odd time of year, too. It's not like you don't generally think they're moving a lot mid to late September, early October, and then that's the one.
He's pretty photogenic, too. He just comes in. Beds
in
front
the
of the
scrape.
camera, right on the scrape.
Right in the mock scrape. Yeah.
I don't know.
So
they teach you something new every year, though, it seems.
Yeah. And I was kind of intrigued on what you sent last night, just moving around cameras. And me and Jake were talking about that on a couple that you could move around because they've been so slow. Mm-hmm. And kind of right now, was it a little hard to judge with? They always say the October lull. So,
yeah.
But at the same time, you kind of got to find them if.
For sure, for sure, and this time of year is probably my favorite time to get pictures.
Big time, yeah.
Put them basically scrapes solid.
Yep.
Obviously, we've got plenty of ponds we hunt over, but which we don't move cameras from, just because when the rut hits, that's where bucks are hitting in a day, day in and day out. But to know who's around, I don't think there's a better way of finding out than putting them on scrapes, in my opinion.
Big time, yeah. Video mode too. Some of those
videos
that's
are
nice. Epic.
Some are pretty sweet.
I've had
Do you have your cell cams on video mode?
No, not normally, just because I don't have like solar panels and those batteries just kill them.
Just your regular cams you put.
Yeah.
I did the same thing on a couple of them today, or not today, but this year I've done a couple video mode, just with the regular cams and all the cell cams are in the picture.
Yeah.
That post is interesting. It's. I don't know, those of you probably obviously don't know, but this kid talked about moving camera. We all use our cameras to hunt, off of, but talked about moving them pretty steady. And obviously, a lot of variables in that, where you hunt, how much land you have, how many cameras you have. But it was a good point. I've learned a little this year too. There was a couple times I picked up one of the bucks I was after at a property. Didn't have a picture of him for, I was going on almost 2 months, and then I knew kind of the general area of the farm where he had liked most. Kind of got aggressive, went down into a spot where I wouldn't really go, kind of down right into their bedding area. Hung in camera, boom, that night he's there, and then granted I haven't had a picture of him since, but every time I moved that camera, or it happened twice now, I moved a camera closer to where I think he's, living, bang, he pops up on camera. So it's just kind of one of those things. You don't want to go in all the time and
that's like
wreck your spot. But
what did that guy say? He was doing it every 7 to 10 days, which seems like a lot. Especially, when you think about like your certain situations. Us, like we don't want to go into our woods. We've only got smaller sections, so it's like you kind of want to make it a sanctuary. But then, like you think last night when you send it, it's like okay, you have the 2 sitting on the ponds that you just kind of let soak there because the deer are gonna hit the water. But then it's like you never think about ones sitting in a food plot that you put out in September.
Relying on them we all do. I'm probably the guiltiest one here because I have a lot, but at the same time, they got to walk right in front of the camera, and I've heard it more than I've seen it myself, but deer consistently either walk in or behind the camera, get spooked by the cameras where you're just not getting yourself anywhere there, of course, but it makes it tough. You don't know what to do. Still learning, trial and error type of thing.
Probably get a little bit of overthinking it too.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you
Absolutely.
get that one
It is weird
picture.
though. They do. You move a camera, bang, you get them. And I've seen it a few times here. So
Yeah, like in a food plot, how many different trails are there to come out to the food plot?
Yeah.
And you're waiting on one daylight picture. Yeah, he's in there more than you know. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, like we were just talking too, by our tank blind, which we call the Big Woods plot, is we've had a camera there every year for I don't know the last how many years, and there's like 2 scrapes there that they hit religiously every single year. This year, they just aren't hitting it.
There hasn't been hardly any pictures.
So
in
it's
there.
weird. It's like you have the T-post kind of in the corn rows to point at the scrape, which it's a little different from last year, but they still got to walk along the corn rows. Right on the 4-wheeler trail by the scrape, but we just aren't getting bucks on the scrape. So,
Man.
yeah, so you think of all the variables. In the corn, just inside the woods, and then onto the other side of the food plot. And
yeah,
That's what I liked about that post. It's saying you almost got to go find them. Like, if you're not getting pictures, you're like thinking the worst. Like, if you're not getting a picture, he's totally gone. He's 3 miles away. But
you don't want to
he
hunt.
could
sometimes.
be right in the same.
it's
He
got
could be
to.
right in the same area, but you're just walking right. He's just missing the camera. So
well, yeah, if you look at your hunts, like last weekend when I saw 8 deer on the first sit, we have that camera on the scrape on the edge of the cornfield.
Yeah.
All the deer I saw were 50 yards into the woods on acorns.
Yeah.
So I see 3 or 4 bucks, and we don't get one picture of them, but they're 50 yards away.
Yeah. I'm sitting at home on my couch saying I'm not going to hunt tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nothing here.
when they're right there.
We've been talking about acorns quite a bit. Do you guys have any setups that are like in the timber over like oak trees with fallen acorns? Or do you guys
I wouldn't
primarily
say
just hunt
on
food
purpose,
plots?
but there's definitely a couple that are like
Yeah.
the one on Hilltop, where we call it, is like we were saying, the whole floor of the
Yeah.
woods is solid acorns,
Yeah.
and that's where you see them crunching all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just happened to be that way because there's been a stand there for years and years.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely one spot. And then
That's probably the main spot we only hunt in the woods, just because like earlier we said we don't have a lot and we don't really want to disturb it, so we hunt the edge. So you can still see the acorns, but yeah, like when you get inside on those spots, it's like,
Yeah.
holy shit, there's a lot of acorns.
Yeah. There's one thing. Yeah. There's more of them in there, and you're hunting over acorns and you're on the field edge, but
Well, and
one,
it's
they're
like-
not bedded there. They can lay down in their bed or stand up and eat acorns
Well, and like
all
at
day.
this, and at this period, I mean, you're hunting the edges on that scrape. Well, it's like no wonder why they're not coming out to the camera, because they can browse all day and night long for all these acorns.
Yep.
yeah, last weekend when I was hunting in the woods there, I'm only 75 yards into the woods on at one point, and I had 2 4-corn bucks like 50 yards from me for a long time, and it was interesting. One of them went and hopped a neighbor's fence, stood there, he took 2 steps on the other side of the fence, kind of looked around and came right back and kept feeding on acorns. It's like,
You don't know if they're hunting or not. It was just a.
no, yeah, I have no idea, but like, I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. They were around me for so long, just feeding acorns makes you think, like, during that, especially during, people say the October lull, it's like, it's definitely one thing where they're not coming out in the field and everything all the time.
Yeah.
Because
My thing with acorns, obviously, it's awesome when you're on them and you're sitting in the timber. For one, it's hard to access a spot, inside the woods because they're probably bedded there. They can stand up, eat acorns all they want, but it makes it tougher. I mean, I think it's 100 times tougher to hunt, to kill them. I mean,
gotta get
how
in
many
the
of
woods
you got to
to
get
hunt.
in the woods? You got to get right where they're at, and they're
Especially
not
when you
moving
don't
a lot
have like
early
a
on
logging
when they're
trail or
eating
anything
acorns.
to go. Like you're just kind of winging it through the woods. To get to your
Absolutely.
stand.
And
Access,
most of our spots, I mean, are funnel type areas. You're trying to catch them bed to food, and when there's acorns right where they're laying, how do you, it's hard to. I think they're bigger disadvantage. I mean, bigger disadvantage than they are helping you out, depending on the spot. But how about yourself? I mean, obviously you've got timber spots, food plot spots, but knowing you don't go up into the timber a whole lot, do you? Before, I mean, pre-rut and.
No, not really. I mean, me and Carson went out during the youth hunt, and we sat up top on one of our food plots, and they were hammering that food plot. But there's also acorns all over that food plot as well, which is a dynamite place to be early
throw
season.
A corn pile out there.
Yeah, it just goes to like show like you never know what like deer are all like so different too. Like some of them just absolutely love green plots.
Yep.
And other ones just love acorns. And like last week, all the deer were on the cut soybeans and not the standing beans, which is weird too. But I went through there and there was a lot of bean pods like on the ground over there.
Yeah,
which
and you
makes
always
a lot
hear
of sense.
people like when the combine comes out, you always hear those guys say, "Oh yeah, here come the deer." Then after the
They
combine,
hammer the cut beans a lot, I think.
Mm-hmm.
once they take the beans and the corn off, you see the deer out there right away.
Well, last year when I saw Johnny's buck for the second time, I had Johnny come pick me up, and half hour after I left, he got back in the combine to go combine corn again, and got within 50 yards of him. Came back out to the cut.
Oh,
corn.
really?
Yep.
How long before you shot him was that?
That was like 3 or 4 days, I think. Yeah.
Wow. That's what maybe kept him close enough. Obviously, he was on a doe, but
Yeah.
Oh, he was on
kept
doe
dozing in
farm.
that kept
Big
dozing in that area, and that
Yeah.
that doesn't hurt.
Yeah. There's we're talking about trees and stuff, and acorns, but Johnny one time, it was after I saw Johnny's buck the first time. I went up, I was talking to him after moving cameras around. He's like, he's got all these walnuts in his hand. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go up back over to that other ridge over there, and I'm going to plant a bunch of walnuts today. Bunch of walnut trees. I was like, I don't know if I want you to do that. But, yeah, go ahead, I guess. Yep. Because I literally thought that was right where he was betting on that point up there. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Good black walnut log is good money nowadays, I guess.
Big time money. You probably won't be around to see that when that tree's big.
No,
but.
shit.
I just saw a post of piece for sale, and the guy had in there that it was a huge stand of black walnuts. He goes, yeah, the price right now is through the roof.
Yeah, they're
Big time. Yeah. So what's the date today? October
17th.
17th.
Yep.
So what's your last couple sits? What's the strategy been like going in? Where you been sitting?
Well, obviously ours, we were honing in on Ray, even though you haven't had a picture in 2 weeks. So we were sitting as close as we could to where we had the pictures. But
the one time I took off of work because there was a big temp drop. What was it? 15-degree temp drop from
it was
Thursday to a Friday. I took off a Friday, and the last picture before that was less than a week, I think, wasn't it? Or no?
So that was the week
That was
of the
early
7th.
October.
So you would have went out the 6th, I think.
So it was like a week.
Real early.
The last picture we got was a week before, and then there was a 15-degree temp drop. That was the one strategy, going to the spot where we've had pictures of them with the cold weather coming in. But
it was dropping. It was getting windy, too. So it's like you kind of hit that October front coming in.
Yeah. October 7th, you said?
I'm not sure.
Something like that?
Yeah.
I logged my hunts, and that was, the 7th.
It was high pressure, too, so it was like it looked really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you took off the Friday, right?
I took Friday off,
You
yeah.
hunt that
so it went
morning
the
and
6th.
night?
No, just evening. I took a half day off of work, but I didn't even see a deer that night, I don't think. I was surprised because it was really good weather.
Yeah.
That's the worst feeling, isn't it? You get so much vacation and then, or not enough vacation, but
Yeah.
you only so much, I should say. And then you take it off, you go hunting, and you don't see nothing. And granted, you're out there, you're happy, but there's also a certain aspect of pressure starts hitting in. You only get this many days, this many hours.
Then when
We're all busy. You gotta
get back to work on Monday, and everyone's like, "Oh, where's the buck? Where's the buck?"
Yeah,
I was like,
you must have had.
I'm not gonna shoot one every
Yeah.
single time I go hunting.
I know. Yeah, that's what's
Yeah,
tough.
you never know with the weather either. Like, so what was it, 40 degrees this last weekend or so?
Good.
And then it was
Mornings?
65 today.
Yeah,
This morning there was some pretty
It was
hard.
very
it was a
cold.
second frost that
This
I've
morning it was a
seen
hard
this morning.
frost on the ground even, and then today it was like 65. Yeah.
Yeah, when I woke
Clear
up, I
skies,
think my
good.
car, I think it's at 30 on my way to work this morning.
30?
I think so.
I've not
was-
seen it
I
that cold.
think it was
yet.
like 30.
Yeah.
something like that.
I've
It was
really,
low 30s.
I definitely
for
had
sure.
frost on my windshield.
Yeah,
explains why deer were moving. You've had a
big time.
I saw a lot of deer on the way to work this morning.
Yeah,
A ton of
Oh,
deer.
I didn't tell you guys that either. I had a little buck run out in front of me on the way to work,
hmm
and he would look because he stopped right on the 5 yards off the road, and he looked
Yeah.
like he was breathing heavy too. I was
I
like,
had one on the
"Oh."
way here tonight.
Really?
Yeah, and I was
So
going to
17th,
ask you
yeah.
guys if you've seen any activity
Yeah.
because, no, not this last weekend. Was it even 2 weeks, the 7th? I had like a decent 8 kind of nudging some does a little bit up where I
Yeah.
was hunting and not really like going after them, but when they were kind of in his bubble, he kind of
Oh yeah.
yeah.
lunged at him, went a couple 10, 15 yards and stopped. And
hmm
I was kind of thrown off a little bit. And then I had a couple bucks grunting a little bit that night too.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
That's fun.
Yeah.
The young ones are
Whoa.
ready. I haven't had a whole lot of chasing yet, but I could tell
No.
with a few of the does that I've seen seem to be a little bit more jittery. I mean, even when the wind is perfect,
Yep.
meaning I think it's from, getting chased around by young bucks. And on a buddy of mine's camera last night, he sent me a few pictures, probably a 3.5-year-old ended up laying down in the water. It's like
Yeah.
something you would maybe see November,
Yeah.
early mid-November, but
hmm
last night I don't know, that was odd, but who knows? Could have been for one, little bit of chasing. Two, they're starting to establish who's who.
He's starting to feel it a
starting-
little bit.
He sent me
Right,
that
yeah.
picture too. And my first thought was like get hit by a car or something, but then
Yeah,
he was running around on
yeah,
a
he was
different
running around
camera
before
later.
and after.
Yeah,
I'm like,
after that too.
just super odd, laying in the pond taking a bath.
I had a
Ponds are great, but I still haven't seen that yet.
I had a buck laying down next to a pond, but not in the water tonight too.
Really?
Yeah.
In
I
the
don't know.
water.
But last weekend was that doe contest, and I think Friday night and Saturday night I saw a buck like chasing and grunting, nudging around does. And it was the only time in my life I'd wish they would nudge the does to me instead of the bucks.
yeah.
It's harder to hunt those, absolutely, when they're
Yeah.
getting nudged around. For one, they're jittery, and two,
Yeah.
they're always
Kind
on
of gets
edge.
it amped up a little bit. Like
They were
when I was
tough.
sitting up
Yeah.
there and I
Yes.
heard that first round of grunts, I was like,
Is that a
"Oh,
grunt? Damn.
Okay.
You can definitely start.
I
Like,
haven't heard
It's
that in
time
like
to
a
be.
year.
Yeah,
it's definitely
time
starting to
be
heat
amped
up. Like
Yeah.
that other camera we got, there was a doe running. I don't think we got a picture of a buck behind it, but a couple does, and then there was some little bucks like a lot later. But it seems like it's heating up for sure.
Big time.
Every year, it's like, when's it going to come? When's it going to come? You wait around, and then it's gone in a week. So it's here, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I mean, 2 years ago, the biggest 2 bucks two out of the biggest 3 I've ever had pictures of were dead within the next 4 or 5 days here. So,
well, and I've kind of
Early
like
20s of October.
yeah, on a cold front. I mean,
And like
the
the
big
fa-
old mature bucks are going to get the first one. They're going to,
Yeah, like the past
It's-
couple years, I've kind of made it more of a point to get out just the start of October because we usually have waited, say, hey, let's just save it for the rut and whatnot.
to,
But
but-
the one spot that I was hunting the last 2 weeks, over the last few years, it seems like the cameras really heat up with bucks hitting the scrapes like early to mid-October at that spot. So
Yeah.
getting
Buckeye
them
killed
daylight
last year.
is tough. But, yeah, they always, I feel like early mid-October is huge.
There's
You guys had a buck breed a doe, too. How long ago was that?
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
when
in
was
October.
that?
That was
like
a 5-year-old buck?
October.
15th.
I was gonna say 16th or
Buster.
Fucking Buster,
17th.
yeah.
Bus, were you on the way into the stand that early?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 3 o'clock, and
Like
we
4 years ago-ish, something like that.
probably
I
around
think it was
there.
more
Maybe
than
even
that.
more than
It was
that
more
now,
than
yeah.
that.
And
I
yeah,
just watched that video the other day. You look so young. it was more than that.
This is
I
a
could
big
probably
buck,
look,
too.
but yeah, we watched him breed that doe October 15th to 20th, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
it was
it's obvious
early.
they're-
It was
They
early.
are ready, and I mean, it might be one doe within 2 miles that does come
Yeah.
and eat this early, but who's going to get him? In my opinion, it's always the man of the woods. So
Speaking of that too, I was
the
just
one you're targeting.
like I said, I watched that video the other day. I was just going through the camera and just watching old videos. Not quite that long ago, probably 3-4 years ago, because I think that was like 5-6 years ago, wasn't it?
this picture shows 18, but I'm not positive if that was the year because that's when I shot Curly.
Yeah.
So it was either 17 or 18 that happened.
Yeah,
So this
but-
video,
5-6.
another video I'm talking about, it was like October 20th or something, 21, 22, and I filmed a decent 3-year-old, not not that big of a buck. 3-year-old 8-pointer, breed a doe from our parents' house right across. We live on a dead
I
end
remember
road.
that too.
Dang.
Yeah.
Right across the road. I was inside the house, filmed a little buck breed a doe.
That was like midday too.
Yeah, it was right around noon.
Yeah.
and
Jeez.
that was cool too. Early or like around this time of year.
I've
You
never
just
seen
never
that.
know. Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
once seen it.
No.
I have, but I
Never
think
seen it.
I'm trying to think of how many times. I believe it's only one time, and I was 12 years old. I was hunting with my dad on Ted Marm's farm.
Remember it
actually.
like it was yesterday.
But I don't. Trying to think all the. I mean, you're in a tree how many times?
Oh yeah.
That's how rare it is
I've
to
seen
see.
it twice. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Worst part about
Mitch,
Buster
I'll trade you my one seen a doe or buck breed a doe for the 190 encounter you had last year.
For one encounter? Yeah.
Yeah. You can have it.
Yeah.
You can
I'll
have
take
that
the other
one.
two, I guess.
All right.
Yeah, the
Man.
worst part about that day watching Buster was like, how far was he? Within 100 yards.
Yeah, I was gonna say 80,
You got
90.
160
You're
inch
damn
deer
near,
just
yeah.
right there, and
They're so.
Didn't want
We-
to cock block them.
threw out a couple grunts, and I mean, he just didn't care. I mean,
We
he was
kinda
with
tried
that.
to.
Makes you wonder how close you could have got if you just walked.
Yeah,
We
I
did
always-
kind of think of that because, like,
But-
he was just so focused on that doe, but like that was back before it was logged, so it wasn't like thick.
it
thick.
was
I mean,
not
it was
thick at
kind of
all.
open, so it's
Yeah.
like
There was nowhere to
No.
go. We crawled a little
Yeah.
ways, but then we kind of lost trees to go to, and it was kind of wide open. And I remember he didn't really care at all, but the
Ew.
doe was locked on us.
Was.
So I
See,
don't know.
There was one, and being we're talking about years in the past. This was 2009. It was the first big buck I ever kind of fell in love with. The Splidgy 2 buck on my grandpa's
Oh,
place.
here we go.
They're no, I'll keep it as short as I can. But he was pretty local on the cameras all year long, and we were coming back from church on a Sunday morning, and he was in the neighbor's field, 20 yards off the road. It was November 8th. I mean, so it was go time, and it was him and 3 other bucks and a doe and maybe another younger doe, but they were 20, 30 yards off the road. People stopping and looking at them, did not give a shit. I mean, it was it was
Shit.
nuts. I don't know. So
Yeah.
it just shows
And
it's
he bred her right there.
he bred her right
Yeah.
there, yeah. But it was him, and he was obviously the man. The other two were just kind of chasing around, but it was interesting. It makes me just wonder how close you actually could have got when the time was right there. If you could have walked,
Yeah,
up
like
to
we could just stood up and walked closer, and like I'm sure the doe would have took off, but
yeah. This was like
Seemed
9,
like
10
he
o'clock in the morning.
Huh.
One of the
we
craziest
sat
things
there
I've
on the
seen.
ground the whole night.
yeah, our knees were
Didn't even
shot
make it to the
after.
stand. Yeah,
Ooh. Well,
Saw 160 though.
yeah,
real close too.
Yeah.
60
Remember
plus.
Just giving her.
Who ended up getting that deer again? It was a George kid,
Yep.
right? Alan.
Yep. Gun season, I believe.
Like it was a really long shot.
Shout out Alan George.
Yeah, that was a big buck.
He was a big one. He was
160 on the dot.
Wow.
Was it?
I think so.
More.
He was a mainframe?
9,
8,
10.
nine.
He's a
some kickers.
mainframe 10 maybe with
10?
just a bunch of junk.
His beams were like weird. They had
Yeah.
some-
Yeah,
Oh,
he was
no,
cool.
It was like,
mainframe, mainframe 9 with just a bunch of kickers and whatnot.
Man.
Yep.
So
Dustin
it's,
said
One
Sorry,
that got
go ahead.
away. Just another.
no, you can go ahead.
he said the first deer he fell in love with. I thought for sure he was gonna go on a big old love story about thumbs or something.
Oh, he'd been like the third or fourth, but it's probably maybe the biggest
That
heartbreak.
first cut hits the deepest.
Thumbs has got swords hanging by him now.
I've had my fair share of bad relationships with deer.
I think
That'll
everyone
change.
has.
Some reason I'm always getting my heart broke, not the heartbreaker, but maybe that'll change. Sure hope so.
So it's October 17th today. When are you guys going to start hunting mornings pretty hard? Here?
I've been hunting mornings.
Quite a bit. How long you sit until this time of
Jeez.
year?
This last time when I didn't see a deer, I sat till 9:30. It was just completely dead out, and then we sat till what was that? 10:30 we got out of there, and then moved a stand up closer to the ridge top. But
I've
Yeah.
only sat one morning, I think, but
we just did because Ray was
he was morning.
one daylight
Daylight.
picture
Daylight,
last
yeah.
week, and then another one just before. So it's like
Yep.
Gotta be.
kind of have to. I mean, You're not just going to sit around and wait for, we got to wait till late October to hit mornings.
We were thinking, or our main thing was we have limited time to hunt because we got Iowa tags this year. We're going to go down there soon. So it's like, might as well get in and hunt Ray when we can, especially with he was being daylight in the morning.
Put you on the spot. You got an Iowa tag. If you're playing cat and mouse, Ray Finkel, seeing him in and out, got him on camera, you throwing that tag in the garbage?
Dude, I was talking to people about work. I'm like, I'm so torn this year. Like, we've been lucky enough to have decent deer to chase around home, but this is by far the biggest buck we've ever got to hunt, and obviously it has to happen the year we have Iowa tags.
It's going to happen to everybody.
Spend all that money on points for 5 years.
I mean, that's
and
what
then
we
the
kind of
tags.
thought with Billy too. Like if Billy made it, it's like all of a sudden he makes it, and they're like, well, crap, here's this buck that we've had pictures of for 3 years, and then now we have an Iowa tag. It's like,
he was an old brute, but he wasn't even near Ray's caliber.
No, not
true.
Hell of a problem to have, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you guys ever figure out if that buck was MJ that Dave shot then?
He was not.
I don't think he was.
No.
Mm-mm.
I don't think he was
Dave,
either.
I showed
Dave,
you.
Right?
I sent you
Dave,
that picture.
that
I forget who it
178
was
or
that
whatever.
killed that buck up, I don't know,
One that
closer to
Dave
Colton's
shot?
grandpa's.
Oh,
Remember
The
that
splits?
deer? That was
No, that wasn't
MJ.
MJ.
is that
A neighbor, we found out. We
Shot it with
found
the
out-
gun.
is that a Loomis?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
he shot it.
Yep.
We found
I
out.
think that
because it had the same.
was MJ.
That was MJ.
I'm
for
pretty
sure.
sure.
I'm with you.
And
100%.
I think Dave with his buck, there was a guy that said had a picture of him more east
Tucking
of.
big splits or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, they
That's
weren't the
not
same.
MJ.
buck.
So it's not MJ.
Loomis shot MJ. That buck was a toad too.
Yeah. MJ was so cool.
How do you
Yeah.
think Splits? I mean, because Splits was not a real old deer in my opinion. And
Yeah,
Dave,
and he
Dave would
just-
say it. I mean, the bases on him
It
were.
wasn't any older
4.
than 5. Do you think? I kind of think it was 4.
Oh, I think he was 4 max.
What were his bases
He
then?
he only weighed 180 pounds, and he killed him
Only
pre-rut.
180?
Killed him
Really?
like October.
I'd
that,
say
that
4
was
for
the
sure
same
then, yeah.
same year
I
you
mean, that's
shot
small, even for a 4-year-old.
Inchers,
That's
and
small.
then Mike shot Holyfield.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And
They
because
had
it
a
was
week,
all
like,
within
What
like
year was
shot
that?
him pretty early.
2019.
it was all within like a week. I think.
The same year I shot my flyer buck. I think it was
You shot a flyer buck?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
11 with the kicker.
Oh,
off
so
the 2.
Dave shot
Oh, yeah,
him
yeah, yeah.
October 27th,
Kicker buck, I'd call him.
Dave
and Mike
called-
shot
Dave
him
called
the
flyer
first,
buck.
and then
I think you shot that one in
I think
2022.
flyer goes
You shot
back
that
to
Because I
deer.
went
Texas, me.
hunting in Modena after we had a couple of tailgate
I think you shot the
deers.
flyer. You shot
That
the
wasn't
flyer buck.
22.
that was
Oh,
19.
2020, I mean.
Okay,
Yeah.
You
yeah.
shot the flyer buck after. But
Yeah,
Mitch, you'll have to throw in some pictures for the podcast.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah,
asking.
folks,
I'm
send me some
asking you
pics,
guys.
boys.
He's throwing
when
out
I
a lot
shot
of
him.
old buck names.
I'm asking you guys when I shot that buck.
I don't know what buck you're talking about.
The one I shot on lawn.
A
Oh,
real
the
nice
11?
3.5 with the.
That was 2020.
That was
Yeah.
2020.
I believe you're right.
Yeah. Yep. Here's my picture of the mount in 21.
Is that when Dave shot Tonka too?
Nope, that
No,
was
it's 21.
21.
That thing was
That
huge
thing.
too. How-
There's and like we had the trail cam picture of him, and you could tell he was heavy, but until finding him, it was like
Let's stop
Yeah.
talking about Dave. His head is just getting bigger.
What's up, Dave? If you're watching this,
But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that much mass on like throughout
Deer. I have
the
don't think I
masses,
have.
and I mean,
not locally. I mean, obviously, you go to a deer show, you might wind up seeing something, but
yeah.
That thing
for a
was
local
nuts.
buck, I mean, growing your home farm and kill, that thing was pretty impressive.
yeah,
I still regret not taking the whole second half of the day off when we went and tracked it with them. But
yeah.
it
I
was
didn't get to go with. I was at work that day.
well, I got out of work on a long lunch break, but then
So
as
did
fun as
I.
it was finding them,
A long
it's
lunch
like
break.
I'm going home, or I got to go to work
Yeah.
now, but I'd like to sit and probably drink a 30-pack or two with them.
We did that with that other buck. I mean,
Hey, but it only happens so often. I mean,
True.
how long is it?
I can't wait for the first one.
Maybe
yeah,
one.
man. yeah.
Maybe one
Makes
a
me
year.
sound like I
Those are-
love beer.
Those are the
After
best. Like even
after Johnny's buck was awesome at the shop.
Yeah.
too.
yeah,
Still,
we were there till like
Sunday night
2.
though. No,
When?
it wasn't that late.
It was
Johnny, that
yeah,
was
drinking,
11.
huh?
That was like 11.
Yeah, because it was
When
me.
we left,
Yeah.
No way, it was
Yeah.
later than that, wasn't it?
100%. Guarantee it.
It was not late because it was on a Sunday night.
Yep.
It was me, Dave, Mike, and you were the last 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
going back to work in the morning, and I was like, Okay, I'm feeling just a little sluggish. Man.
I did not sleep at all that night.
Even my buck.
Yeah,
last year,
I should have called in the next day.
Yeah.
You think about it.
If you would have shot a 192, I would not have gotten anything done the next day.
Think about it in hindsight. You're like, that happens once every
Thanks, guys.
a lifetime. Maybe I should have taken off and just said, screw it. But
Yeah.
Even when I shot my buck last year, it's a 130.
Mm-hmm.
And Ty come out with him.
That was fun.
Ty was all banged up because we shot the same day. And was that a Sunday?
No, we hit her hard that night.
That was
late. That was late
Saturday
that night.
Yeah.
That was the day before, right?
Yep.
Yeah, those nights.
That was Ty's biggest bull buck. He came over. He was
Ty was jacked. That was
I wish
awesome.
you had more of them, but you really look at it and shit, you're lucky. I mean, we go to.
You don't do it a whole lot.
If Taylor does kill Mr. Ray, we do the same thing and have a good time. I mean, even though you're chasing him, but it's one of those things. You only get so many chances a year, so it's hard.
So what happens when I take out on a booner in Iowa?
I'll drive down.
Oh, there we go.
Go in the bus. Yep.
Duddy can go to his old stomping grounds. Yeah.
I'll meet you halfway. Take that back.
I'll call up our Dean Fund and say, hey, I need the van. 16 passenger. Let's go.
Bring the Amish van.
Let's take bring down Wendy's RV.
Oh, yeah. There we go. There we go. That thing.
Well, we talked about hunting mornings with Cole and Jake. When are you going to start hunting mornings, Dustin?
Well, we did try the one early on.
Opening day.
Maybe you regret that one. But
Opening day.
don't regret it, but it was a fun morning. We didn't kill the deer we were in there to kill, which is maybe a blessing. He's a nice 4-year-old, but
busted up again.
Leading up here, yeah, he's busted up. I hope he can make it. He'll be a special deer at 5. But haven't been out any mornings other than that, but I think moving forward here, it's pretty much any chance that I can going forward, which you got work, you got other obligations, so it's tough. But I think this coming Sunday, I'm gonna hit a morning. Where I'll be, I don't know, but probably somewhere, I don't know, starting to rely on the cameras again, which I kicked myself in the ass for. But
just got to get out there that time of year.
I think I'm gonna stick with the same farm we were at Sunday. A little bit to see if I can lay eyes on that tipsy buck, but
I like that buck.
If I don't see him or get him on camera here recently, I'll probably maybe change tactics a bit and head to that other lease.
Yeah, I've already hunted 3 mornings this year too.
I just love mornings.
It feels so good getting up and
that Johnny's buck was the first buck I shot at night.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, besides that drive that we did, and I shot that buck on.
Yeah, you can't count that. That's
I love hunting mornings, just watching everything wake up.
Oh yeah,
hearing stuff like chasing around you and you can't even see it yet. You're
just like the cool little brisk mornings.
Yep.
I mean,
I'm excited for the hunts where there's no prime time. It just gets better and better.
Exactly.
I mean, it can be great any time of the day. Where lately, hunting these evenings, and we've had pretty good luck with weather, but it hasn't been
last 2 hours.
You're sitting there. Well, here's killing time. Now it's getting to be where
pull up the Rams game in Spanish on your phone.
that was us. And that's one nice thing about these nice huts that you guys always trash, but.
Well, when you have your Mr. Buddy heater on when it's 60 degrees and your
just
boots
making sure it worked. I don't want to show up there November 2nd, 20 degrees, and be cold.
I've never seen a guy investigate a blind so much for mice when we get.
Dude, I was dying laughing.
Thing you do.
Last year, he sent a snap to our group, and he had a steak on his heater.
Dude, oh my god, yeah,
that was ridiculous.
That's when you know it's a little over the top.
I know it's a love-hate thing. I love sitting out in the elements and hearing them come in, but don't get me wrong, it sure is nice walking into your. I mean,
they're nice.
How
like
you
when
dress
you get,
is half the trouble. Like I remember, what was that hunt? A couple of
Hunchback in Notre
10
Dame
years ago. It was 0 degrees. I could not fit enough. I put as many clothes as I could fit on myself.
Yeah,
and I still got cold.
Andy lost his phone.
Now I don't even hardly dress.
I remember that video
in the snow.
The worst
got it.
The worst part about the sit is the walk or 4-wheeler ride in, and that's pretty short lived. You hop in the stand, throw in the heater.
Yeah, I mean that's the only.
Maybe take your boots off.
Yeah. I mean, last gun season was cold, and I sat in the tank line, and it was nice, but There's just something about like being contained in them that
I
Yeah.
agree. The
It's
noise
nice.
Mainly
sucks.
for bow
See,
hunting.
and
I
I-
don't mind it like for gun hunting, but
yeah. For bow, like
Yeah.
just I like rely on hearing
Yeah.
more than like
Big
looking
time.
around.
agree.
Like
Yeah.
I think it's all on where your spot is too. If I'm sitting on a food plot or pond, the hut is great because generally they're coming there. If I'm on
They'll
a
get
trail
any
or
movement, yeah.
a funnel of some kind, which there's a couple that we've got set up for, and it's like, Jesus, I'm going to be looking window to window nonstop, and I guarantee you when a big one does come, I'm going to be sitting at my phone, and when I do see him, I'm going to be looking at his ass walking away.
Yeah.
And
That's
which scares you, and it's like, it's only good for so long. You can't let that happen, but we're all guilty.
yeah.
mm-hmm.
I mean, hunting in them is easy, but
Filming is easy.
yeah.
Two guys, we bullshitted it. It was great.
Oh, I
but
see a buck coming.
There
Oh.
it is.
Here he comes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't, like, obviously sitting in huts or blinds or whatever is really easy, but when it comes to getting a shot out of some of them, like, that's a whole different ballgame.
can be hard. Yeah.
Yeah. With a bow, at least.
With the bow, it's tough, and then with two people in there and trying to get a camera angle, it's even
Yeah.
tougher because you don't know.
Yeah,
where they're
Dustin
going.
got spotted in his shack when I went
Yeah.
the one time this year because the sun was so
Oh,
bright
Yeah,
in our
we
face.
fixed that problem. That shack's nice. It's in a killer spot, in my opinion, but we're not very high, and there's a lot of windows in it, which a lot of windows is great. My grandpa actually built that blind, but I mean, it's up close and personal. That whole food plot.
Shout out Larry.
If they're on the edge of it, it's 30 yards, and if they're in the middle of it, they're probably 15, and
Yeah.
which is great. But I last time I sat there, I actually brought in some tape and some tar paper. I went nuts. I taped most of the blind off.
Yeah.
Is that
That
what
is
Rob
The
was
window,
at
the
then?
windows behind us, I blacked them pretty much out. You can get a peephole just to see if something's back there every now and then, but the darker they are, the better. And
Those are nice to have, yeah.
I'm
Is that
done.
where Robbie sat on Sunday then, too?
yeah,
Didn't get busted at all?
didn't get busted at all.
He had like 15 does.
Yeah, I forget. I should read some of his texts. But
In the
no,
food
he had a
plot
good
where I went
time.
with you.
Yeah,
Really?
it just filled up with deer.
I
But
love that food plot.
Oh, yeah.
That's a sweet spot.
sit there. It's weird. The one tank, one of the shooters I'm after this year too. The day we went, how warm was it? He was walking right through there during the daylight in the morning.
I was
Yeah.
sweating. It was.
I was hunting,
It was really hot that day.
a little embarrassed, but I was in my shorts and Crocs, and I was sitting
Yeah.
I had to keep
Crocs
the
are
windows
nice early season,
try to
too.
keep the windows closed for wind purposes. And
Yeah,
It had to be almost 80 degrees that day, wasn't it?
probably, yeah.
that day, 80 degrees outside. I think it was
Yeah.
probably 95
Yeah.
in the hut.
And
it
the,
was
yeah,
bad.
the sun beating in that hut. Oh man, I was dripping.
Two
sweat.
sweaty guys in a little box. It wasn't a good
Oh,
sight.
gosh.
Good thing we didn't kill him that day. We'll hopefully get a better
Get
setup
that thing
scenario.
on ice ASAP. Jeez.
No.
Yeah, it's funny you say that about trying to get a shot. Like the first deer I shot one was that doe on yours,
Yeah,
and
out of the blind.
that was kind of one where it's like she's coming down straight at me, but then she tails, so it's like, all right, what
Yeah,
window am I going to go
switch
to?
window,
Then she
yeah.
changes back to the other side. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
and then you're only shooting
yeah,
a foot
it's
wide
tough.
too.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's without a cameraman. You didn't have a cameraman that night either. And
Nope.
getting film. And two guys, we kind of game planned. Hey, if he comes in, open this window, and we're trying.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty important. Those
That's what you
guys
gotta
sitting
do,
in
yeah.
blinds, and most people probably do it, but I always try to draw back and make sure there's room and
Every
I got
shot,
each
yeah.
angle.
yeah,
I do that in the tree every time, too.
yeah.
Just to
I always got to
double-check.
draw back when
Makes
I
you
get
feel
up the tree.
makes you feel better.
And
Agree.
and when you're cold, it helps you warm up a little
I was
bit.
just gonna say that I usually
Flex
draw
those muscles
back.
a little bit.
yeah.
Draw my bow back when I'm freezing cold. That helps a lot. Even just one time.
Talking about freezing, though, talk about all-day sits. You guys gonna?
I was
put
gonna
those
bring up
ones in
all day
next?
sits too because we were talking about time of day, morning versus evening.
Yep.
I'm turning into a strict believer of midday hunts, sitting all day.
You
Yep.
are.
The last few years, I've seen bucks running from 11 to 2.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Interesting.
definitely a believer in the midday during the rut.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
What time of year was that? Just early
Like
November.
Right.
first week of November, yeah.
yeah.
That's interesting. And I've just had a handful of all-day sits, and my grandpa's one who's absolutely swears by it. He'll go in and hunt 10 to 2 and leave if he's got, other obligations. But me personally, I've sat all day a handful of times. that 10 to 2 is tough, and you're not going to see the deer that you. That's one thing. You're
Yeah.
not going to see the deer that you're going to see coming to feed in the morning or coming back to bed, or going to feed in the evening, coming back to bed in the morning. But the buck you do see, or the deer you see, is probably going to be a good deer. And I've seen a couple, but it's tough. I mean,
Hard to pay attention when you're cooking steak, though.
true. I probably slept through a few.
My main example of that is up on the ridge.
Yep. I know what hunt you're talking about.
spot.
I gave a haircut to a 5-pointer, which sounds dumb,
Big
but
5-point.
the,
I've seen
probably the
pictures.
biggest 5-pointer you're ever gonna see. Like it was a awesome deer. I was gonna shoot it for sure.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the edge of a ridge, like facing along that ridge. The drop off was to my left, the top of the ridge to my right. A doe come hauling ass from behind me, straight past me.
What time of day is this?
This was at like
That was like
1:30.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I think it was like 1:30.
Hmm.
She went flying by me, so I obviously got up right away, got my bow, looking around, getting ready, nothing. And then I actually put my bow down because it was like 2-3 minutes. And then all of a sudden I hear another deer come running, and here he comes as the 5-pointer. And he actually stopped by himself at like 40 yards, and then he started, I was drawn back already. He was on a trail that I kind of walked across to get to the stand. He stopped at 40 or something. He come into my shooting lane. I stopped him. He was off of the ridge, so he was farther than I thought he was, and I just nicked his belly. Actually ran up over to where Cole was.
Yep.
Cole, I think you were going to shoot him too, weren't
I'll
you?
probably passed him up.
Maybe.
I
but
grabbed my bow, but he never gave me a shot. He was probably like 40 yards, and
Yeah.
it was too late. I was like stretching in the stand because it was like I hadn't seen a deer for.
It was an all day. You got to stretch.
We both sat up there all day, and I hadn't seen a deer for a few hours. And I was sitting there. I remember I had like my knee up on the tree, like stretch out my quads, and all of a sudden I hear something.
How many Twinkie wrappers did you have in your pouch at that
Put
time?
down a good amount of Little Debbie's.
oatmeal cream
Yeah.
pies.
Yeah. There you go.
No, it's always tough for them all day.
Shout out
sets.
Jeff Lindsay.
Those are the OGs.
If I'm sitting all day, I got my cooler's got
Dude,
everything.
it's
Sandwich
tough.
by
Like
8 o'clock.
you'll have
Well, eat when you're bored too. I mean, you
Yeah.
haven't seen it. It's like 8:30. Okay, moving's gonna be at 10. I better get a sandwich.
I brought 2 sandwiches and like some Little
That's
Debbie's
not
last
enough.
year, and I ate both of my ham sandwiches at like 9:30.
Oh,
Yeah.
Screwed for the rest of the day.
Yeah, they're
but like you'll have good sits like that in the middle of the day. I've had a few. Let's say I said I'm a believer of it now. I've had a few good ones where I've seen bucks moving,
Mm-hmm.
but then I remember like back in the day, I was
Jeez.
dead set on sitting all day
Yeah.
in this one spot because we had so many trail cam picks. This is back when we were sitting together all the time. It was my turn to shoot, and he was filming. I was like, "Oh, we're sitting all day. I don't care what you say." We saw 2 deer, I think,
It was like
immediately.
Right away.
sun comes up, 2 deer, boom.
two, 3.
It's going to be a good day.
Immediately, I was like, "Yeah, dude, we're seeing deer. We're staying here."
Yeah.
We didn't see another deer the whole day.
That's brutal.
It was like,
made
and
it all day even too.
yeah, and he was sitting in a tiny
Phone died at
hang-on,
like 2 o'clock. I was just
a
like,
little
Twiddling
tiny,
your thumb.
tiny little hang on. The seat's this big. We got it Menards.
Those
Oh,
are
yeah.
the worst.
I was
stands.
sitting in a comfy.
Jake's got the hanging seat one. He's just like this.
the hammock seat. Just
Yeah.
sprawled out.
Poor
Here I
thing,
am
the
with
wind's
one
hitting your
ass
neck,
cheek
you're
on
like,
my seat.
I
This
never
is
hear
what
the
prison's
end of
like.
that one, but
Yeah, I was like, Jake, I think we can go home for like an hour or so just to stretch our legs and get
Sure.
something to eat.
shut up.
Pretty sure there's pizza in the fridge.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was.
It's always
that was-
worse when you guys are hunting your home farm where you live. I mean, more my situation growing up, I never had quite that. Even if I'm hunting at my grandpa's, it's always a mile drive over there. And then if he's dropping me off, he's going hunting himself. You're damn sure he's sitting all day. So
Yeah.
here I
Don't have a
am.
choice.
I don't have a choice sometimes. So
Yeah.
I make sure I pack enough.
Yeah, it was definitely like even that day when I was filming him, the day before I shot Curly, it was so cold that morning, and we sat
Oh,
till
yeah.
about 11, seeing deer and saw chasing. It was so cold. We're like, dude, we can run back to the house. It's what,
Yeah,
500
easy.
yards away. I mean,
Yeah,
run
what
back for an
happened that
hour,
time?
come back, and there's Curly and probably another shooter
Bigger
like
buck.
80 yards from the stand just tending a doe, and it's like
kills you, man.
Nightmares.
When we get back at,
probably one. I mean, we weren't out there very long, but it's. I
we
mean,
mainly went back to warm up.
Yeah,
it was so windy. It was really cold.
Yeah.
but that's like what you say, like when you hunt on the home farm and you have that the house just sitting there. It's like, all right, I was just running quick. Just
the last couple, the last 2 all day sits I had, my dad actually drove all the way on top of the bluff, dropped me off, and went back and drove away. So I didn't have a choice. I was sitting there all day too, like he said. But it was weird though, because I saw a deer literally all the way up till 11. Then I didn't see another deer till like 1:45. I remember journaling it all just to see like when they're all moving. But that one at 11 o'clock was Megatron as a 2.5-year-old. R.I.P. R.I.P. That one hurts. Dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to be a believer in the midday of when bucks move.
Yeah.
Like nice bucks, it seems like it is too. But I've heard a lot of people say that. Seems like older people tell you that a lot. And yeah,
That's where you're at, in my opinion, too. Sometimes, I mean, if you're in a funnel, top of a ridge, someplace where they're traveling.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'll be there all day. If you're sitting on the edge of a food plot where they're
Yeah.
It's a feeding. If you're on feeding trails, you just got to know where you're at and how to hunt it. But
They could pop out at any time too, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think. I mean, I haven't sat all day a ton. I mean, handful of times, but it hasn't seemed like anything consistent. I mean, I've seen somewhere, you have that day where we were up there and you see deer most of the day, but then some other times it's like, man, this is a grind.
I mean,
getting down. I mean, sucks for a couple of reasons. First off, you're out of your tree, you lose your chance. You ain't gonna kill them in your couch.
Yeah.
Old cliche. Then second, it's the whole getting in and getting out that kind of I think a lot of people don't think of, but that's can kill you too. I mean, you can have a big buck that you never see bedding 100 yards away. You get out, you walk by him. He's guaranteed your evening sit. Even if you return there in a half hour, he's probably the gig's up and it's over. So that's half the battle there too.
Walk in like for Iowa this year, the spot where I'm gonna be mainly hunting.
That's a ways.
I'm gonna be all day hunting
All
there
day.
because that's a hike getting in and out. I'm not walking out for a couple hours.
And I know that area. That's the spot you probably want to be there all day.
Yeah, up on that ridge, kind of.
That's gonna be a grind for you.
Big time.
Those walks in
Did you
and out.
say,
And
speaking of a
all day.
grind, were you telling me you took a 2 weeks straight off?
3 weeks.
I
3
mean,
weeks off.
I hope it works,
boy.
but I absolutely love deer hunting, but 3 weeks straight in a tree. Sounds great, but you
didn't
kill
go
you.
all 3 weeks.
Dude, I only missed one day. It was raining. I didn't go.
But I get
You recharge that day.
you can get fatigued. I mean, pretty quick and
Oh,
wear
yeah.
yourself out. What kills me is as much as you hunt on your cameras too, which like I said, I'm way too guilty over. Your neighbor kills a big one October 21st. Okay, well you still got your week or two off during the rut, but then you're still sitting there. You haven't had a big one on camera. The one you did have is dead. I mean, you start to kind of wear yourself out, and I always think in the back of my head, there's a lot of other stuff I need to get done too, and there's you start doubt creeps in, and it just is like
that time of year you gotta be the camera though.
That was
you're 100% true.
That
100%
was
right. It's just hard.
That was like
hardest,
3 years ago when I did that. That was when I missed that 5-pointer. I had 3 weeks of vacation at my other job, all PTO, and I was gonna use it or lose it. So I took all 3 weeks for the rut. I swear on my life I missed one day, and it was only because it was raining.
Yeah, that's awesome. Pretty good.
I didn't do anything for
Best
3 weeks.
vacation ever.
No box plane sits either. Yeah.
No, it should have been worth it if I would have made a better shot. But
that's a lot of hunting consecutive.
And it's more. I would have to do. I could be in the woods every day like that, but
break it up.
I got to be checking cameras, maybe moving the cameras like we talked about earlier here. And then, I mean, if it's day 7, 8, and I'm not on a shooter, whether it be my camera or what I'm seeing, I'm thinking I'm in the wrong spot too. I'm, moving.
Take a couple days.
I wasn't hunting the same spot for 3 weeks, but
that's another thing too. You get one picture going by there. You don't know if they're going to be coming back anytime, but probably the smart thing to do is keep sitting that stand, but that gets draining too.
Looking at the same thing over and over.
That spot wasn't a short walk either.
The old days, it was almost easier though without the cell cams, because then hey, it's been 3 days. I worked for 3 days. I haven't checked my cameras. Who knows what moved in? Nowadays, it's all
Anticipation.
Yeah.
right. That's so
Turn them off.
We don't talk about it. Turn them off. That's
Save some money.
a good point, but god dang it.
You can't say that for last year in Johnny's book, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying that.
No, but
Did you watch that newest Midwest Whitetail episode? That
Oh,
Owen
yeah.
Riegler guy?
he shot a giant.
Shot
I
a
saw.
guy
I didn't
shoots
catch the
giant.
whole one.
I didn't see that yet, but that guy shoots giants.
He didn't use a single cell cam this year.
Really?
Wow.
Yep.
What was his tactic? What happened?
He just said he wanted to make it a little harder on himself. So he
That's when you know you shoot big deer.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're living in Iowa too.
I was gonna mention the Iowa State thing, but
Yeah. So with the rut coming up, then, what's your guys' strategies for Iowa and Wisconsin, and what bucks are you guys mostly targeting?
Well,
Ray
right
back
now,
home for sure.
yeah.
Ray. But Iowa, I only have one camera out. We went down there a little while ago. I put the one out like by the stand on the ridge. So obviously there's no food plots or anything there. It's not going to get consistent pictures
for sure.
on public right
Yeah.
away. It's definitely, I can see it definitely starting to heat up a little bit. Now I've gotten a couple like 3-year-old eight pointers. One's like really narrow and tall. It's kind of a cool looking deer, but it's young.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like I said before, I'm going to be all day sitting for sure down there in that spot. So that's kind of my strategy. I don't know about with Cole for he's got a lease down there, but
When are you gonna go down there? What do you think?
I don't know. It's
TBD.
hard to decide with Ray out.
When
But
is your
I'm saying,
3 week start?
See,
though?
and
I don't know
What's
if you're
that?
gonna make it down there if Ray keeps showing up.
When is your 3 weeks?
that's
start?
a TBD.
I don't know if I'm going
Yeah.
to get 3 weeks this year, but
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple weeks.
See, and that's kind of what I couldn't really decide of one because I've heard guys say down in Iowa it's just a touch later than up
I
here.
think
Yeah.
it is.
I've
So I
heard
was
that
like-
too. Yeah.
I don't really want to go October just because I know up here the last couple of years is we get some running around. So I was looking at like November 6th through the 10th.
Ray was daylight a bunch last year,
Yeah.
like end of October
Yeah,
too. So
exactly.
we were kind of talking. We didn't want to go down to Iowa if he's still around until November, but
And it
Yeah.
kind of just gives you a couple like good weekends up here at the home farm to
Mhm.
hunt at the end of October. So I was kind of thinking like November 6th to the 10th, which it gives you on the weekend. So it'd be
Yeah.
what, like the 4th through the 12th or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was kind of eyeballing that, or I didn't really know if you'd want to push it another week, like past the 10th.
I think you might.
I
'cause
wouldn't.
Our
the 15th I've heard is the best.
Like
day in
leading that
Iowa.
week up to Wisconsin gun season.
I've heard Wisconsin gun season is the best. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
you can run into that lockdown 10th through 15th types, maybe even 16th, in my opinion. But a good buddy of ours, Jimmy, he hunted public land, and he had some of his best luck our gun season.
Yeah.
The biggest one he did kill down there was, I think it was the Wednesday of our gun season, which is
Oh, wow.
November 23rd.
when is
And he killed it in the morning, and he said that whole week he was seeing awesome movement throughout there, and that's getting to be
when's shotgun
desperately seeking again for, Drury Outdoors would call
Yeah.
it.
shotgun
So they're
muzzleloader
piling into
season
that.
for Iowa? When's that?
Shotgun muzzleloader?
It's like December,
Early
isn't
December,
it?
yeah.
December 4th.
Oh, it's not
Fifth,
till
sixth.
December.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I couldn't really. Maybe
It's
I
another
should just
reason they
ask
get big.
Jimmy and Damon what they think, and I was gonna ask Kyle too.
I go to our gun season because you don't have much for gun hunting on your place
I
anyways,
don't.
you always say. So
I
that's
literally last year I went
I think-
Saturday. That was it.
Yeah.
my opinion that our opening weekend through Thanksgiving is a phenomenal time to be down there.
I'm
And-
definitely going down there.
It's a good time to
earlier
be
than
out
that,
west
but
too.
Yeah, get down there earlier, but then, I'm just saying if you're
Yeah,
starting
we'll
to slow
probably-
up during lockdown, I'd hammer it in there.
We'll probably be down there for sure because, like, Cole really doesn't get into gun season up here
Nope.
because we never see any
Or
deer during gun
turkeys.
season.
Yeah.
But we'll
Gun
be
season's
down there.
fun. But
I would.
For
I
us, it's kind of.
I think that's smart though.
Yeah,
Just
I'm like
hammer in November.
with my cams right now. It was tough when we went down there. It was the second weekend of September. So I mean, everything's so green and like so much CRP down there was so tall and growing up. Like you couldn't really get a read on trails and whatnot. So it's like, okay, do you leave all your cameras on these soybean edges? I mean,
I feel
Yeah.
like with your cameras, you'd have to be. You can get lucky and hammer right in on a big one, but
yeah.
if you're
So
off his home range a little, who knows, 50, 100 yards. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah, so right now my cams have been real slow, and I even asked Damon about his, and he said he hasn't. I mean, that urban buck, I mean, not to spill the beans, but he even said, too, all his cams were just real slow. So Kyle, he said he's down there right now, and he said he'll go down there looking around. The beans were taken off, I think, last week. So he'll get them moved around onto some scrapes, hopefully get some better intel, and
Yeah.
I guess he'll kind of wing it from there. But, yeah, I wasn't planning on taking that vacation till November just to give you some time up here on the home farm.
What did you guys do as far as, like, batteries and stuff? Did you put solar panels out, or?
No, I was going to, but for mine Tacticams, we used those Energize Maxes, but then I set my delays and sensitivity. Like, my delays were at, like, 2 minutes just to save on batteries.
That helps a lot, too.
Yeah, like, they're all 100% still, besides the one says 30, but I think that has the worst reception, so that makes sense. But the other three are 100% still, and I just moved those to 30 seconds. So, that month it saves it.
The Tacticams are awesome. You can do that all electronically, remotely.
And I turned the sensitivity way down to, like, 2, so you're not getting a bunch of grass and sun and whatnot. And
where'd you put your cameras at? Like, what were they on?
so I got two right by a pond. The other one, we were dog tired on the fourth one when we were heading over to the fourth pond, and I thought it was going to be like a cut field road, but it was all grown up, and we weren't going to walk back, so I said, hey, we're just throwing this on this post here.
I know it's 90 degrees out.
Yeah, it was warm. But then the
Jake's
other
legs
two...
are full of chiggers.
Yeah.
Dude, they were bad.
Yeah, but then the other two are on the main tree line, just kind of right next to my stands, kind of coming in and out of the neighbors' bedding and whatnot. I mean, there's so much CRP that it was like, all right. I mean, especially that early too, you just couldn't get a read on it. Like,
yeah, even with the place you're at, I think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it just feels like it's. What were we down there? Early August. You're not going to get
first
your best
week of September. I mean,
you're not going to get your good picture. I mean,
Yeah,
what you
exactly.
see there isn't going to matter.
Yeah.
Whether he's big and going to stay there, he's probably moving, or if there's nothing there, you probably know something's coming in. So.
And yeah, I mean,
One of those ditch,
it kind of sucks to come across that one. I think I came across it like early August. Like, it would have been nice to come across it in spring. Like, then you can buzz down there when it's all
shed season,
prime time. I mean, shed, but
scouting. Yeah,
you come across it with a guy in town here, and you kind of run down there just because you kind of want to get some stuff set up. But like you said, I mean, August, September is not the best time, especially you got such big egg fields and CRP. I mean, it's not like you're hunting over food plots. And
when you do go down there, I mean, you might change what you're doing a little bit too. I mean, I would bring an extra stand with me.
I was going to look at
the
maybe
ones you do have, but sometimes you miss an area.
Hang and hunt.
It's like,
setup.
wow, this is. I need a spot here.
Because I did buy 2 nicer ladders just to help with all day sits. But I was gonna look at maybe getting a little lone wolf or something to bring down there just in case if something's not going.
The Bigfoot hang-ons. I forgot what brand are those, but those are actually really nice.
Yeah,
the ones with no straps.
That was a big game one, but
okay. No, we try to hunt Sunday night. We were planning on sitting on a pond on kind of the lower side of this property, and we just had a ladder. Mitch was bringing his hang on to film, luckily, but we get there and we had a strap malfunction. But
we
ended up in a nice hut about 200, 300 yards away, and we watched the Jets game in Spanish.
Yeah.
Still saw 5 deer. It was all right.
Yep. Well, and that goes to show you again how everyone's always like 4-wheelers will spook deer or whatever. You can't drive around your property and still go sit.
That place is set up.
Yeah.
You drive right underneath the blind or right behind it. And we got a little gravity box set up there, but had awesome luck there. For one, you got no scent in and out. 2, if you do spook deer coming in and out, likely they're going, 20, 30 yards and sitting looking at you. They're not going to run onto the neighbor's property. They're not going to run far, in my opinion. We've seen it time and time again. But my Uncle John Rudd, he actually killed a big one you were after.
Found the sheds
2-3 years ago. 175.
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah, 175-inch clean 10, slammer. His setup, you drive, granted, he's 80. I mean, no, he's not quite 80. He's probably low 70s, but regardless, low 70s or our age, doesn't matter. It works. You drive the four-wheeler right underneath the hut. He's got it all tin blocked off.
Yeah.
Climb up through a trap door, and you're in your spot. And
They'll never see it.
Yeah, I think we touched on that last time we were on here. Is just
yeah.
I mean, during the off season, you're driving around on the Ranger shed hunting and even checking some normal cams or food plot season. I mean, I think they just get used to it as long as you're not
Big time.
out there just jacking around. And
that's one thing me and my dad have gotten really consistent at is when we go hunting, we either drop each other off and like sit there and idle with the Ranger while like they're getting in the stand, then go to the next spot. And sometimes they'll even go to your spot, drive out there in the Gator so they like spook off and they won't see you like walking in. And then they'll go park and then walk in after that too.
We kind of started doing that too. Like if we're hunting and at the home farm, our parents are home, they can run up with the Ranger and drop us off and pick us up. They don't mind doing that at all. It's just a quick ride.
so handy, even like at the end of the night, hey, I got a bunch of deer by me. Can you buzz out here? And
that's the big part. If you got deer by you,
huge
at night.
Yeah.
What's
you
your
crawl
go-to?
down and they're watching you climb down from your ladder. You can get. I mean, next time for one, they're probably coming out later. For two, when they do come out,
Staring
their
right
eyes
at
are
you.
probably going to be locked on you. So I've seen it. I've been guilty of it in the past.
What do you do if you have deer out in the field, but you can have someone picking you up?
Throw a stick out there or something. One time I actually brought up coyote howls on my phone.
That's what I do.
you?
Yeah.
I've done that
If
too.
I have service.
I've even tried howling
Yeah.
with my mouth before. Which
I have
who
too.
the hell knows
I
if I
bet
did
that was
myself more.
hilarious.
Well, a lot of
harm
spots
than
I don't
good,
have
but-
service either, so I think I should just download like a sound to my phone and just play that.
The one time I did it actually worked too. It was awesome.
Stuff.
Well, they're
They
all
take off right away?
Yeah. Well, they didn't really take off, but they just kind of started off.
And one
The
thing
only-
I've had good luck when you're coming in and out, slightly off topic here, but using lights. I don't have any issue with using lights. I mean, I've been coon hunting in the past where we've had deer 15 yards from us. You shine them with the light, they'll sit there. Down in the public a couple of years ago, I was hunting with Damon. We were walking in, and we needed it then for one just to kind of see where we were going because he didn't know the property real well. There was deer walking right up to us with lights. So
Yeah, I've
He's
been
just
using
afraid
it.
of the dark. He didn't want to see it.
yeah, that's true too. But hey, it's,
I mean, I've been using a headlamp for.
you guys are just lazy. You guys just get rides in and out to your tree. But guess what? It works both ways.
No, I think I started using a headlamp when we were doing the bottoms.
Yeah.
I mean, crossing the river, you almost have to
Man.
have one. I
You don't
mean,
want to fall in. Jeez.
so
Thinking about that spot, it always reminds me of Jake hunting on the bottoms all day. It was cold as shit
It was
outside.
so cold.
I drove by. I'm like, dude, I think I could probably see him over there right now. I feel bad for the kid.
And then I don't know how many times you or your dad are driving by when I was just coming in or out. You guys just waving like a jackass because I'm just grinding in there, dude.
I sat back there with Burnsy one time.
Did you?
Took the canoe across.
oh, jeez.
What a guy. We always walked across those
Yeah.
waders
Yeah.
instead of dragging a canoe. But
Yeah, I've
we
been
should
using
have
that.
had 2 nice bucks out of there and kind of screwed up on both of them.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Cole
hunting.
had a lot of fun dragging
one
that
with the-
doe out. I killed.
That one with the split, that big.
The one was a
We never
9-pointer
got
we
picture,
never had a
yeah.
picture of. It was like
The
a
real
total
big one you guys had a lot of points. Andrew Rudd killed the next
Yeah,
year.
Yeah.
but
About a mile
that
south.
wasn't. We had that one or a 9-pointer that was a bonus buck, and then one was another like it was a 10-pointer. We had a couple pictures of. Was on the way right at us when we were in the stand and picked us off. When I don't know what exactly happened. It was a few years ago, but
Yeah.
definitely should have had.
You were probably moving too much.
Probably, I think I blamed it on Cole.
Yeah,
so.
I think you did.
Cole forget the shower that morning.
Cole was moving, so it's always it's
Yep.
obviously his fault. So
My fault.
Goddamn
But-
cameraman.
guy, yeah, for sure. But he was totally happy to help me drag out a doe I killed down there one time.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It was
Next
solid
time I better
mud.
have it racked.
That's what I was like. We have to do this for a doe.
Yeah.
And Come on.
I need to eat, fam.
Yeah. I got kids.
Next podcast, you better be bringing beef sticks if we're hauling out does across the river.
I got lots of any sticks. I can bring some.
through swamp grass and sand and yeah.
Dude, I dragged that thing 150 yards by myself, and you had 100 yards and just.
One more question or topic, I guess, before we wrap things up here. What's your favorite? I know we talked about oatmeal cream pies already, but what's your favorite all day snack?
Nutty bar.
Stand?
I was gonna say that too, but
Nutty
I don't
bar,
know.
dude.
The's something about a ham sammy on those Hawaiian buns that
But
just
those are
killer.
so good.
Damn.
they just hit the
Imagine if you had those Hawaiian like rolls or whatever with ham.
yeah.
Had Dustin's heater to heat it up.
Oh,
man.
Little mayo on
you
there.
imagine
Melt that cheese a little
You
bit.
guys can imagine it. I know.
Yeah.
We'll get Snapchats of it.
No, but
You cannot say
I'm
steak
going with-
either.
I'm going with Grandma's beef jerky. It's can't beat it.
Dude,
The
we
problem
made-
is trying to take a bag or two out to the stand and not just polishing the whole thing off.
By 10 o'clock.
It's tough.
We made summer sausage sandwiches the one time too. Oh my
I got
god,
that
those
from him.
tasted so good.
I got
Those
that
things?
from him
When
when
they
I
were
like
hunted with
cold,
him in Iowa. He pulls
yeah.
out these summer sausage sammies. I'm like, what the heck is this?
Cheese, summer sausage, and
Little bit
mayo.
of mayo.
When it was cold, dude, those were incredible.
Those are
Put
probably
them
in
on
his
the
car
Hawaiian
for 4
buns.
days.
Yeah.
Oh, I found this in the back of my car.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to stock up on supplies here coming up here.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Those little Debbie's. I don't know, those rut snacks.
Oatmeal
like
cream
those.
pies.
Yeah.
Oatmeal cream
But-
pies are
More of the
great.
Swiss roll guy with.
Oh man.
Wow.
Those are
dude.
trash.
Mid. Mid. Those
But
are like
I don't think
bottom
you can
5.
beat a sandwich out in the
No.
I mean,
I'll
how
stand.
hardcore of a snack guy are you? I mean, with the Swiss rolls, I've even unwrappered them, put them in my bag in a Ziploc.
That's
so I'm
a
not making
veteran
so
move.
much,
Yeah,
not making so
veteran.
much
Oh, yeah,
noise.
for sure, because those
Every
wrappers
dude-
are just deadly.
every
Those of
time-
you watching this, I would try. I mean, try that. It might be the difference.
It could be the difference.
Yeah.
Every time we talk about snacks, a video pops into my mind of one of our old videos of Cole Kama sneaking
Yeah.
his fingers
Oh,
into his
yeah.
bag to get the Snickers or whatever's in there.
Yeah.
So
I'm
funny,
so
dude.
glad I got that on camera.
So funny. He was like moving so
That's
slow.
another one, the Snickers. But even the best part, the Snickers get better as the day goes on. They get
Ooh.
frozen.
Let's get hard on the
Hard
teeth.
They
Yeah.
get
A little bit.
super hard though.
Oof.
I don't know if you can for Little Debbie's. Can you beat a Nutty Bar?
Those are all time great.
They're so good.
I really like oatmeal cream pies. I ain't gonna lie.
I like oatmeal cream pies, but they're not the go, dude.
That's another day.
Anytime
another
Fitness, they got a deal coming in January. If we're going deer hunting it right into Christmas, I'm gonna need it.
You don't need it. You're at
We
the
need to
dad
get
mode
Jeff
now.
Lindsay's
True.
thoughts on the Little
Oh.
Debbie ranking system.
He's probably got all of them on there. You ever had a Star Crunch before?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
I can't
Those are
say I
good.
have.
Eric Wolf gave me one of those for the first time to try, and I'm a fan. Yep.
Just a couple more weeks and you'll
Yep.
be
Big time.
on the Little
It's
Debbie
coming.
train.
We're here.
That's a side note for everybody listening to this. Get them snacks supplied while you can. The
Lots
best
of
is-
them. Don't eat
best
the
is yet
whole
to
thing
come.
at 9 o'clock in the morning if you're sitting all day.
That's another thing.
Or just
yeah.
get more.
Exactly.
is the
You got to
easiest
like set apart different times to like, all right, I have a snack this time. I have something to like look forward to throughout the day.
I do that with my cell phone in the tree too. As much as you're on it, I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to put this away for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's back in the day. I wish not. I mean, it's great having it, but
Turn it off.
sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
man, when I was 12, sitting here all day, my grandpa dropped me off. I had nothing but the sun to look at. Actually, it's just it was 100% just a different time.
Do you ever
and
get that
you miss it.
when you're
I
like,
miss it at least.
if you're having like a terrible set, you're not seeing any deer, you tell yourself, yeah, I'm going to put my phone away for an hour, and you look as like 5 minutes. You're like, oh, shit, man.
It sucks, and especially on Sundays. I'm
Yeah,
checking
you
my
hit the fantasy
Fantasy
app.
team.
And then you just hear like all the old guys in your head just like, oh, freaking millennials looking at their
Yeah.
phone all the time.
Yeah.
What I've told myself is you're putting it away until you get like a certain amount of notifications.
You must have it on vibrate or
Yeah.
something. Or how do you know? Oh, I
Yep.
don't even test that.
I'd put mine on
had
do
a,
not disturb all the time.
I've had a doe.
Oh, wow,
I've had
you
a doe bust
hardcore.
me
Yeah.
on vibrate before. I'm almost certain of it. So.
What?
Oh,
She had
yeah.
to be close.
It was pretty. She was close.
Your
Oh
old
yeah,
ass
how
tr-
long's that been
Android.
vibrating for?
Maybe another reason to
Actually,
get an
I
iPhone.
believe it because he was probably in the shack and he had it on the windowsill or
See?
something.
You're right. You got me.
Yeah. Just loud
Busted.
as hell.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, the best is yet to come. Make sure to get all your snacks and get prepared for the rut. So we'll see you next time.